Is the 2023 Lexus IS a small luxury car worth buying? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. Although crossover SUVs are far more popular than traditional sedans these days, there is still a segment of buyers who are looking for a regular small car that's sporty, stylish, and fun to drive. And if that sounds like you, then you've probably considered the Lexus IS, which is a traditional sports sedan much like the BMW 3 Series, the Acura TLX, and a few other rivals too. But as many know, the IS is not exactly the newest option on the market, so with much newer and more modern rivals out there, how exactly does the IS stack up? And is it still a sports sedan that's worth buying? Well, make sure to stick around until the end of the video because that's what we're going to find out. And if you enjoy and get value out of this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I post 2 videos a week, always straight to the point, valuable car buying advice designed to help you, the consumer. So as mentioned, the current generation Lexus IS has been on the market for quite some time now. Even though it did receive a pretty substantial update for 2021, the basic design and platform dates all the way back to 2014. Despite that, however, this is still a very stylish and modern-looking sports sedan. The styling updates for 2021 give the IS a very sporty and aggressive look, and I still think it looks just as good as most of its rivals, if not even better. And to keep things interesting, for 2023, Lexus has added a few new colors, including a 2-tone color option on the IS 350. Now you can get the IS in a few different versions. The base model is the IS 300, which comes with either rear-wheel or all-wheel drive. If you go for the IS 300 rear-wheel drive, you get a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine with an 8-speed automatic transmission that produces around 241 horsepower. If you go for the IS 300 with all-wheel drive, however, you get a completely different drivetrain. It comes with a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 with a 6-speed automatic transmission. The same engine and transmission is also found in the IS 350, only here it has a higher output. In the IS 300, the V6 makes around 260 horsepower, whereas in the IS 350, it produces around 311 horsepower. I've driven all the different variants, and to be perfectly honest, there isn't really a huge difference between the performance of the IS 300 and the IS 350. Either way, the V6 is a very smooth and refined engine with more than enough power for day-to-day use. Now, of course, being a traditional, naturally aspirated V6, doesn't exactly have as much low-end torque as a lot of the turbo 4-cylinders on the market these days, and it doesn't have quite as good fuel economy either. At best, the V6 is only going to get around 20 to 26 miles per gallon, or around 9 to 13 liters per 100 kilometers. But where this drivetrain is lacking in terms of fuel economy and outright performance, it more than makes up for it in other areas. As mentioned, this drivetrain has more than enough performance for daily use. The engine makes really good power, it has a really nice sound, and it has really great refinement. But perhaps most importantly of all, it has an outstanding reputation for long-term reliability, especially past the warranty period. Lexus has been using this 3.5 V6 and 6-speed automatic for a long time now. It's a very durable, long-lasting drivetrain that's easily able to rack up 200, even 300,000 miles with only minimal maintenance. So even though this drivetrain might not be as modern as the turbo 4-cylinder engines found on a lot of rivals, it's going to make up for it with amazing long-term reliability, and for many buyers that's a lot more important. If the IS 350 just doesn't cut it for you in terms of performance, there is one more version of the IS that you could consider, and that is the one that I'm test driving here, the IS 500. With the IS 500, you get a completely different drivetrain with rear-wheel drive, an 8-speed automatic transmission, and most significantly of all, a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 engine. The V8 in the IS 500 produces 472 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque, giving it a 0 to 60 time of around 4.5 seconds. But more significantly than all of the extra power, the V8 gives the IS a character and a feel that you just don't get with any other sports sedan. The IS 500 is designed to go head-to-head with the best sports sedans on the market, like the BMW M340i, the Mercedes-AMG C43, and even the Acura TLX Type S. Now, even though those are all great performance cars, because the IS 500 has rear-wheel drive and of course a big V8 engine, it just has a playfulness and character that you just don't get with a turbo engine or with all-wheel drive either. And of course, not only is it very fun and playful to drive, but you also get an amazing sound too. Take a listen. Yeah, you don't get that with a turbo engine. With the IS 500, Lexus has proven that they know how to build a world-class performance sedan. one that's also very fun and entertaining to drive too. But not only is this a great performance car in terms of its engine, but it also has amazing handling too. With its precise and responsive steering, firm suspension, and rear-wheel drive platform, this has a very sharp and balanced feel. But at the same time, this is not a punishing car to drive. The suspension is still smooth enough for everyday use, which is exactly what you want for a car like this. Honestly, I would be more than happy enough to be driving a car like this every single day, and I wouldn't necessarily need to go for the IS 500 either. I think I'd be perfectly fine with the regular IS 300 with all-wheel drive. The V6 engine feels perfectly matched for the IS. You're going to get more than enough performance, excellent reliability, and the security of having all-wheel drive too. And that brings us to the interior of the IS. Now, many criticize this car for having a very dated interior, and indeed the basic interior design does date all the way back to 2014. But just because it's an older design doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. For example, I recently spent some time behind the wheel of the all-new 2023 Mercedes C300, and even though it has a very nice looking interior, very modern, all of the trim has a very cheap and plasticky feel when you push down on it, with that kind of creaky sound that just doesn't scream high quality. The interior of the IS, on the other hand, has none of that feeling. This is a very solid, well-built car with not a creak anywhere. And not only are the materials excellent, but you also have very comfortable sports seats, probably some of the best in a small luxury car. Now, that being said, even though the front seats are extremely comfortable, the back seats are certainly on the tight side, especially when it comes to legroom and headroom. And there's no hiding the dated feel of this interior in certain areas. For example, the center console doesn't have wireless smartphone charging, and it doesn't even have a place to put your smartphone. And you also have this trackpad infotainment system, which Lexus has been using for a long time. The graphics for the screen do look a little bit dated, but at least it does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And you also have touchscreen capability, so you really don't need to be using the trackpad all that much. Frankly, I found the usability of this infotainment system and the control setup to be extremely good, a lot more user-friendly than a lot of the brand new sports sedans, which completely rely on touchscreen controls, making them a lot more frustrating to use. And you're not really missing much in terms of features either. This is a very well-equipped car, and it also comes with Lexus Safety Sense 2.5+, so you get all the active safety technology that you would expect to find too. And then of course you have the pricing. Now, I actually think that the Lexus IS is quite reasonably priced for what it is, especially when you compare it to its European rivals, making it quite the value. Although the pricing is comparable to something like a Genesis G70 or an Acura TLX, it is significantly cheaper than a European rival like a BMW 3 Series or a Mercedes C-Class. And not only does the IS have much more aggressive pricing than its European rivals, but it also offers much better value too. The IS has one of the highest resale values in this segment, and a lot of that has to do with its far superior reputation for long-term reliability. The reality is that most European luxury cars are just known to be very problematic and have very high repair bills past the warranty period, which is why they don't have very good resale value. The IS, on the other hand, maintains its desirability as it ages because it's known to be very reliable, last a long time, and have minimal repair costs. See, there is some logic behind Lexus' strategy for keeping the IS around for so long without any major changes. Lexus is one of those rare companies that doesn't like to mess around with a lot of unproven and untested technology. They don't change things every few years just for the sake of change. They stick with what they know, and what they know works extremely well, which is why a lot of things about the IS are now considered somewhat old school. But this old school layout is exactly what gives the IS a certain appeal, especially for those who buy a car and plan to hold on to it for as long as possible. Now, if you want something that's a little bit flashier with more updated technology in a similar price range, then you could go for something like the Genesis G70. Or if you have a higher budget, of course, you could also go with a BMW 3 Series or a Mercedes C-Class too. And if you do like to have the latest and greatest tech and only plan to lease your car for 3 to 4 years, then any one of these is a great alternative. But if you're the type who eyes long-term ownership and you plan to hold on to your car for as long as possible, then there's no question the Lexus IS is still one of the best cars that you can buy in this segment. It certainly has its drawbacks. It doesn't have a lot of rear seat space, the fuel economy is not so good, and some of the tech is a little bit dated too. But if you can look past all of that, as I easily could, and just look at the fundamentals of what make this such a great no-nonsense car, one that offers a lot of peace of mind, there really isn't anything else that you can buy. So let me know what you think of the 2023 Lexus IS. Which version of it would you buy, or would you buy something else instead? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at some of my other car videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and if you need additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.